Hi everybody. Today I'm going to do a video that is sort of archetypal, sort of spiritual, sort of a combination of all of that. I'm doing it on the power of choice, but not just the power of choice, but how choice relates to self-esteem. And then I'm going to initiate a list, give you a list of choices that I assure you will change the quality of your life. Now, this list could be much longer than the list I'm giving you, but this will be your starter list. This is your starter list of choices that will change your life. Now, I'm doing this because I've emphasized in so many videos how powerful choice is, that our power of choice is our greatest navigating tool as human beings, our greatest power. And choice is the means through which we participate in co-creation. It's the means through which we initiate changes in our life. And it ties directly, I think, into this greater moment of history, of time in which we're living, in that I have to change my position because I get so excited, in that I think in terms of evolution, we are meant to really get that the power of choice is an interior mechanism, not an exterior mechanism. That it is a interior force. And I think that is why we are simultaneously compelled to develop self-esteem, that self-esteem has become a critical factor in our well-being, in our health, in our mental health, and in our physical health. That the more we develop our sense of self, the more empowered we become to make choices that reflect the greater reason we were born, our intuitive self, our inner self, versus our survival self that makes choices based upon the fear of not having enough, the fear of being criticized, the fear of not being able to survive on our own. So there's that series of choices that are your basic survival choices that very rarely bring you joy and contentment. They might, in the immediate moment, make you feel safe. But it's like landing on an iceberg, a small iceberg that may make you feel like you're safe only to discover it's melting. And eventually you have to find another iceberg, right? And until you get to the place, hopefully, where you realize that the greater choices come from an interior place where you rely upon yourself for a quality of consistency and inner power that is then reflected in how events reorganize themselves around your life, because you've become the constant. You've become the constant. You're not constantly in fragments because of what's happening around you. You solidify and become the constant. So, when you're driven by survival, you will always think that a powerful choice depends on money, depends on rank, depends on privilege, depends on something on the outside world. People you know, this, that, the other. Because you aren't able to really get that you operate the laws of cause and effect. You operate the laws of the universe. You operate magnetic attraction. That the stronger you make yourself, the more powerful those laws become. And when someone is driven by the fear of survival, and they're just driven by the outside, then they're like eau de toilette, they're like toilet water. And they have to rely upon the psychic field of all these other people, all those other opinions, all that other stuff from the outside world. And so the quality of the laws is, how do I say it, operates at tribal speed, at tribal strength. So cause and effect moves at the speed of the group. Ever try to get a group to agree upon a decision? It operates at the speed of a group. And as you become more empowered, the laws move from toilet water to cologne. And as you become really engaged with your own power, they become like perfume, and they operate more at the speed of light. So it's toilet water, cologne, perfume. So what kind of choices really truly scaffold that level of inner self-esteem that creates within you that field of power where you have an awareness of who you are within the world without diluting yourself for safety. So I'm just going to introduce a couple of those choices for you to think about. I will be doing a full workshop on this because it requires that. I'll write it up and you'll see it on my website. But this requires that kind of time with you because each of these choices will change your life. And it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with you deciding to scaffold yourself from the inside in a way that builds what you might think of as esteem for yourself. This is true self-esteem. So the first choice is the decision to lead an integrous life. The decision to fully lead an integrous life. Now, that's a great, big, huge decision. This is not about deciding, I'm a good person, No. This is great, big, huge. It means I am going to walk the way I talk. I'm going to give my word and keep it. I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to hit a pause button here. Because that's a great, big, huge decision to decide I'm going to tell the truth. Many, lots and lots of people will say, I need to speak my truth. I don't care about that. Speak your truth all you want, but there's no truth in speaking your truth. It's just opinions and emotions and just a basket full of that stuff. But telling the truth is a whole nother thing. And knowing how to tell the truth. For example, you might say to someone, you made me angry, and that's the truth. No, it's not. That's not the truth. That's a reaction to something. The truth is, I got angry, and the truth is because I felt rejected, and that's something I have to deal with. That's the truth. The truth is not your reaction to something. The truth is why you reacted that way. So getting to truth, you should never hurt another person like that. It's always about what's going on in you. What's going on in you? I'm going to hit another pause button here. This is why this is such a rich, wondrous topic. It's more than a topic. It's an epic. I'm fascinated with near-death experiences. I really don't often talk about them, but I'm talking about them now because by the time this video comes out, another video of an interview I did with a wondrous woman named Nancy Rhymes will have been released. Nancy had a near-death experience. And I've been around that experience for many, 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 many years, as I'm sure many of you have. But maybe not as an intimate capacity that my privilege as a teacher gives me. And what so many people have in common who have a life review, comment upon is that they are shown the impact of their choices and what, as a result of what they chose. And it's not a great big huge choice like I chose to buy this house and I chose to live here in Chicago and heaven always shows us these itsy bitsy tiny choices, like the way we spoke to someone, how we chose, the tone of voice and the words we used. Heaven always focuses, but beyond showing us the impact that had on another person, it is mindful to show us that what is observed by the celestial world in us is not just what we chose, but more importantly, why we chose those words. What was our intention in creating this? Now think about when you're in a situation with someone and you want to get to the bottom of something. What you want to get to is, why did you say this? Why did you do this? That mechanism is a universal mechanism. That is a mechanism of human consciousness. Why did we do this? Why did you say this? Don't think that that is just for the Earth School. That is a mechanism. We're held accountable. The decision to live with integrity is a decision to hold yourself accountable for your motivations, for what drives you, for why you do what you do, for why you say what you say, for all of the motivations that really drive us. And the thing about that is it takes a long time for us to get to know this. So the practice of reflection comes in. It's like, what I have to live with integrity. And that is a lifetime commitment. But even making the commitment changes. It's almost like an interior chiropractic adjustment, where you realize, I just want to walk the way I talk. And you start becoming aware of yourself and your power and how you manage your power and how you manage your choices. And it's like you heighten yourself from toilet water to cologne. It's an incredible inner transition, indeed a transformation. So that's choice number one. Choice number two that I offer you is the choice to never pass on your suffering, but your wisdom. In all of our life experiences, they are a combination of wisdom and woe, pain and pleasure. But what do we pass on to others? What do we pass on? We can pass on our wisdom, or we can pass on our suffering. We can say, oh my God, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this was terrible, and that was terrible, and oh my God, I'm in so much pain, it was so bitter, and we can pass on that part of ourselves. Or we can get to the place where we realize, I've told that story 10 times, there must be some learning, there must be a phoenix in this ash, in this pile of ashes. And you decide to pass on the wisdom. But I learned this. And so the story, you edit the narrative in you and say, I learned some really wise jewels. And then if someone wants to say, where'd you learn that? How'd you learn that? Say, well, I had a rough time, but this came out of it. It reframes it. I'd never tell someone, we can't ever truly forget the painful things that have happened to us. And that's not healing. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is reframing. Healing is disempowering the situation and deciding to look for the phoenix in the ashes and rise with it and to not harm. I think of people that come home from work and they yell at their family and their kids because they had a bad day at work, and it's like, what are you yelling at me for? Why am I taking that abuse? And it's a simple thing like that, like the idea of not passing on abuse, not passing on negativity that doesn't belong to other people. I've had so many workshops where people have, started to talk to me, and all of a sudden there's an attitude change with, you just don't understand what I've gone through, and da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm delighted to hear it, but not with that attitude. I am not going to be a target for your anger. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So if you want to discharge your anger somewhere, I'm glad to listen to your narrative, but not this, not this. So there's a decision you have to make that says, why am I so angry? And why do I think I can pass that around? And what am I trying to get out of that? I look at the news and people saying, look at how angry America is. Look at how angry. What do people expect? What are they looking for? What is the outcome? Why is it that when people think they're angry, they could go out and burn a building, shoot somebody, do this, what is that about? And what are they so angry about? What? That the world is changing? The world is changing. It's changing rapidly. And it's changing faster than we can even comprehend. And it's going to continue to change faster. And all the anger that we generate is not going to change that. But we have to scaffold ourselves in such a way that we can actually recognize this world is undergoing a transition. And it's brought about by technology and by the intimacy of the population and by the needs that we have to change because of climate change, because of all the many, many, many changes that we will see in this century. And some of us will not live long enough to see that happen, but we're not going backwards. So we have to have the wisdom to recognize we are undergoing a transition. And what wisdom have I gained from my past, from my life, that's going to prepare me, that has prepared me to live in this present moment. And I cannot urge you enough to look at and reap the wisdom of your life and think about that as a huge harvest, from which you draw learnings that others would benefit from. Another choice that you make. And these choices, I promise you, change your life forever. And if I could show you how these choices change the magnetics of your energy field, your jaw would drop. That it changes the vibrational field. These are all words for you. These are words. And I feel handicapped because I can't snap my fingers and say, wait till you see how you've changed the laws of cause and effect, of action and reaction, magnetic attraction, sensation, the laws of creation, how they shift in their power because you've shifted your power. Because you've become truly empowered in exactly the way empowerment is supposed to take place. It is not about the way people think that empowerment is about changing their diet, and that's a baby step, but or getting, people start out with baby steps. I'll change my diet, I'll change my my living routine, I'll, whatever. People will start saying, you can't talk to me that way. These are my boundaries. This is what I need. And they start telling you what it is they need in order to establish power in an environment. And that's like Power 101. But that's not empowerment. That's the exercise in establishing control over your external field. It's the internal field where you realize, now I'm beginning to participate at a different level of co-creation. See, so long as it's in the physical world, I'm changing my diet, I'm changing this and that, which is fine. You are bringing in healthier habits. But does that necessarily change your capacity to empower the laws of the universe? It's not until you make inner choices that activate a different vibrational field. So here's another one. The decision to not betray yourself or others. The decision to, I'm just not going to betray myself again. And I can't do that. I won't agree to things that I don't agree with. And I will never betray another person. I'm not going to do that. If someone says, can I confide in you? I'm going to keep that confidence. I'm going to keep that confidence. And if I know I can't, I'm going to tell them, don't confide in me. Don't. I'm not going to betray a friendship or someone else. Or I simply will give up betrayal as an option in my toolbox of life. I will not do that. No matter what, whether it's a stranger or whether it's a friend or a family member, betrayal is not an option. This is a difficult one. This is a challenge because I think we don't get how often betrayal presents itself. Talking about someone behind their back or whatever, of how often betrayal presents itself. But, and what does it take to decide I can't betray myself? It means that you open up a different kind of relationship with yourself. What it means is you are inviting into yourself a whole new rapport with your emotional needs, your psychological needs, your spiritual needs, and that you are making an agreement with yourself to not deny your interior life. Further, you are opening yourself to a level of intuitive guidance that you may have played with before, repressed before. I'll give you an example. And this I get. But this is another reason I need to teach this in a class. What does guidance, how does intuitive guidance present itself? Again, all guidance, the system of guidance operates everything operates in a graduated system. Everything, just like the chakras, just like a graduated system. And there is organic guidance, survival guidance, that kind of gut hunch. And when you get a gut hunch, you don't even think, I've just gotten a gut hunch. I have to sit back here and I'm just so surprised. We start out with gut. You don't even think about it. That's organic divinity. That's God in your blood and bones. That is basic survival guidance. And it oftentimes says, operates when you're for example, at a restaurant and you're looking through the menu and you think, I want that. And then you feel like, you know what, I bet that has too much salt. You don't, and you know you're salt sensitive. You don't think to yourself, wow, I bet that was guidance. But it is. But it is. Because the system of guidance, celestial guidance, is designed to keep you healthy. to keep you healthy. And it will operate at whatever level it needs to operate. And how often have you decided, oh, the hell with it, I really want that, and you order it, only to notice later, I didn't feel good. I just had this experience with a friend this past week where she said to me, I need to really watch my diet. I'm at that age now where all my friends are watching their diets, watching their cholesterol, da-da-da-da. And she said, and I thought I could just slip. And the next thing I know, I was bloated and I felt terrible and da-da-da-da. And I said to her, did you have a feeling you shouldn't have eaten that before? And she said, oh, yeah, but I wanted it. Okay, there we go. She didn't think, oh, that feeling was good. And I didn't tell her, oh, my God. I just started laughing. And I said, that's why we got to pay attention to that stuff. That's guidance. And when we don't, it's an act of betrayal. And what happens is, and this is really true, as we progress with our sense of responding to ourselves, like, I just get the feeling I shouldn't eat that and I'm not going to. The more we respond to that, it's like learning a new language. The more you practice the language, the more fluent you become. The more you practice responding to, I get this feeling I should start moving a little bit more, walking. So you start walking around the block every day, and then pretty soon it's around 2 blocks, and pretty soon it's around 5. The more you are responding to an organic system that's moving your earth before it moves your soul. It's getting you in harmony with listening to base guidance before you get to the higher altitudes. And so it's like the practice of a form of practice of integrity, a form of practice. Now, all of these, my list is very long, and I don't want to overwhelm you. I do want to overwhelm you, actually. I'm not telling you the truth. I do want to overwhelm you, but I'm going to end with this. Today's lesson, I will end with this. And because so many people seem to be discontent or struggling or having challenges or angry, let me end with giving you the guidance prayer that I learned from Thomas Merton that has changed my life, and I offer it to you. And that's, we are so used to basing our appreciation for our life on what we have and whether something went well or whether someone called or on something external. It's not our practice to get up and just be grateful for the gift of life by itself, based on nothing that we have or etc., but just because we're alive at this time. So I'm going to focus you and say that this prayer is about the realization of, I'm going to start out the day by saying, another beautiful day of my life. I don't know what it's going to be filled with, but here is a truth. This day will never come again. This day of our life will never come again. That, to me, when I read that in Merton, it blew me away. I had to read it again and again and again, because the size of that truth was gargantuan. And from that point on, I'm telling you, from that point on, no matter who I'm with, no matter what, I look at them and think, I will never see them exactly this way again, as I see them today in this moment. I'll never see this sunset again the same way, or this sunrise. I will never see anything this way again as I see it in this moment. I'll never have an opportunity to have this conversation with this person. And so I no matter who I speak to, I cannot end on a bad note. I can't. I have to end it in some kind of harmonious, loving way. I just, the day will never come again. The moment will never come again. And so I offer that to you as yet another way to hold yourself in a high truth that this moment is all we have. This moment is all we have. And how often we lose people. And I hear people say, well, their death is yet another reminder that life is short and we should this. You have to practice that. And one way to practice the truth that this day, this moment will never come again. I have to appreciate all that's in this moment. And you know what that does? It heightens your senses to appreciate what's in your day. All that's in your day. Everyone that's in your day. Even the silence and the quiet of your day. And being in this quiet office. Even my opportunity to do this video and speak to you today is something I fully appreciate. So I send this to you with just a heart full of love and grace. And I hope that you'll reflect on these choices with the truth in mind that changing the energetic compass of your life is not about moving. It's not about buying something. It's about making inner decisions that require a lot of effort. But it's that effort that, just think about that effort going and changing the energetic content and the energetic atmosphere of your life. It is extraordinary. Changing the flow of power in your life is a matter of changing the flow of power in you. Thank you, and more to come.